and welcome to today's webinar, The State of Facebook. This is our premiere webcast on DJG's channel 300. And really quick, we just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Public Relations Society of America, PRSA, Chicago chapter. So first, what we want to get into, the whole point of this webcast was to really talk about what a Facebook algorithm is. I think people don't even really know what the algorithm means, which makes it really hard and frustrating to figure out what you need to do to change the way you're using your social media strategy to fit the new algorithm changes. So let's define what a Facebook algorithm is first and foremost. So it's simply the technological mechanism that decides which stories appear in each user's newsfeed. So the algorithm calculates a score that scales content good or bad. So, for example, the algorithm on Facebook will give a low score to any unexciting or overly promotional stories or content posts. So let's take a look at these two awful Facebook posts. Angie, why don't you tell us what's wrong with these?
They look like ads to me, Alex. They should have had to pay for these posts. Look at that. They're saying, buy our content. They're not telling the user anything or giving them something, that they would find valuable. It's all about selling on their end. So users, people on Facebook, they want to see fun content that they can relate to. They don't want to read ads in your feed.
No, exactly. So these are two great examples of what not to do on Facebook and how not to score a good score on that algorithm. So let's go back a little bit to what the algorithm means. So the reason that Facebook updates or tightens the formula of the Facebook algorithms over and over again, which you'll notice they probably do it 2 or 3 times a year, is because they're really trying to drive businesses to utilize the paid Facebook ad feature. Go figure. So, and of course, this push to use the Facebook paid ads was not coincidentally tied to Facebook going public, so now they have shareholders to answer to. So really what we'll be diving into in this webcast is how to ensure that your business is given good Facebook algorithm scores if you don't want to front the budget for paid Facebook ads. So now that we've seen a little bit about what the bad is on Facebook, let's talk about who controls the good and the bad, or evil, depending on who you are. So the Facebook programmer is first. So Facebook programmers are those employees at Facebook HQ that work every day, and it's their job to take notice of trends through data analysis, which we will get into very shortly. Second, people that control all of the Facebook algorithms are the power users. And these power users are people that have a lot of Facebook friends and a lot of genuine organic Facebook attention. They're the ones that are making the content you see on Facebook popular. And then, of course, we have you, the everyday user, and you contribute to the data analysis based on how you, the user, interacts with posted content on a regular basis, whether you're posting and interacting regularly or you're more of an observer. So, as I mentioned earlier, every piece of data is logged, tracked, analyzed, and spit back out onto the user's newsfeed. So this data analysis automatically selects the popular content to be seen in a user's personal newsfeed. And the Facebook algorithm is what scores the content good or bad, like we just talked about. The posts that are scored good skyrocket to the top of the newsfeed and are in the most visible spot on a user's homepage. And the posts that are scored bad fall down to the bottom and are less likely to be visible. So what is considered data? Likes, reactions, which now Facebook has 6 ways that you can react to a post, comments, and shares. So over the next few days, I invite you to take notice. If you like certain content regularly, like your favorite magazine on Facebook or your favorite sports team, if you're interacting with their content regularly, liking, commenting, or reacting, those daily posts will start to show up first and foremost, more often than not, in your personal newsfeed every time you log on. And getting those likes, comments, shares, and interactions is really the goal. So with these tips, we'll help your business page show up at the top of the newsfeed and score a good Facebook algorithm score. Let's get into why it is key to publish content in a newsfeed that a user is most likely going to want to see. It's so important that we keep our content fresh, exciting, and organic, and I'm going to go into how we do that here in the next few slides. So, what keeps your content fresh? What does it mean to keep your content fresh? So basically, we want to keep up with the Joneses as much as our brand and our business allows. So let's take a look at the post in the screen grab here on David James Group's Facebook page promoting this webcast. We have our innate brand elements, which is our DJG Channel 300 logo, and then you also see our David James Group logo in the bottom corner, bottom right corner. But we also incorporate the freshness of Facebook's new interactions buttons, the like, love, haha, excited, angry, and sad within the image. So that's the image right there is what we're calling fresh. We're keeping true to our brand with the colors and logo placement, but we're also incorporating something new and exciting. Just a little side note and a pro tip, if you want to take notes down right now. You can make graphics like the one you see in this image on an app called Canva, C-A-N-V-A, and it is usable, or it's mobile and computer friendly. And there is a small cost to when you develop graphics like this on Canva, but it's very cost effective, and it's simple, and it's easy to do yourself as an individual user or someone that doesn't necessarily have all the time in the world to create graphics like this. So let's get into what developing exciting content means. So it's really content that's happening in the now. So if you take notice to what's on the computer screen here in this slide, we're simply talking about Facebook's new live feature. So recently we shared this article from a news source, and it's because it's exciting information about something new that's happening. It's relevant to our brand, David James Group. We're a B2B marketing agency. We specialize in public relations, B2B marketing, and social media. And it's relevant for us to be sharing that content, and it's considered exciting because it's an exclusive. If you see there on the screen, it indicates the kind of urgency and in the now content that we're talking about. So encourage you to share content like this on a regular basis. Find things that fit with your brand that's exciting. Find updates, find happenings that you can really tie your brand back into when you're posting on social media. So let's talk about what constitutes organic content that you're posting. So if you take a look at this post we posted on DJG's Facebook page, this is actually a few weeks ago, National Photo Day, we decided to participate in. So Team DJG shared photos of our favorite furry friends. So first of all, let's take a step back and talk about why we're sharing photos of our favorite furry friends and why it matches our brand. So we're a dog-friendly office here, and we invite our animals to come and work with us every day. So National Photo Day is pretty broad. So in order to participate, we decided to share photos of our favorite furry friends. It matches our brand, and it's something close to our heart, and it's organic. So within 1 hour, I had texted all the DJG staff for animal shots and posted them to our Facebook page to participate in the trendy National Photo Day. We utilized the hashtag, and it got a lot of great engagement on social media.
I bet my dog Gracie got the most likes.
I think
the yellow lab in the lower right corner.
I think the dogs do very, very well.
It's hard to compete with racehorses, though.
It is. And we don't, to clarify, we don't bring horses into the office every day. But we do watch them. So that's actually our VP of PR, Chris Martin, his horses that he races. So anyway, so we talked a little bit about how it made sense for DJG because we are an animal-friendly office. That's something that we post about regularly on social media. It's a theme throughout our content, and we were participating in National Photo Day because it was trending. So that's another pro tip to take down. When you log on to Facebook every day, on your home page there in the top right screen will show you what's trending. Take note of what's trending, if it's National Photo Day or if it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day or whatever, and see if your brand can morph some sort of content that they utilize every day or just genuine interactions that they participate in every day that you can assign to this trend, which is what we did here. And again, this theme was pretty broad, so when you find themes that are broad or trendy topics and memes that are broad, you can really mold and morph it into a content that's organic and true to your brand and yourself. So for us, this was a creative win-win-win. Okay, so to close up the whole fresh, exciting, and organic content piece, It's important to keep in mind that when you're curating the content with fresh, exciting, and organic vibes in mind, it naturally encourages audience members, internal board and staff members, etc., to like, comment, and interact, which is what we just talked about earlier, and what is included in the data analysis of the Facebook algorithm. So keeping all this in mind, here are some quick tips on best practices on when and how to post this fresh, exciting, and organic content. So first tip, go with what you know. Post about things you know, your business happenings, your products and services, the board and employees, and the relationships that you have. So typically, this means anything that's coming down the pipeline that you get word of as the social media manager or communications manager, campaigns and initiatives, if you're promoting a project or an event. It's also important that you promote and include, if you have a board, you want to include them in the content that you're posting, and you also want to include your employees in the content that you're posting. It encourages those employees and those board members to interact with the content once it's posted out on the Facebook page. The other important thing to do when you're going with what you know and posting with what you know is the relationships that you have as the brand or the business. It's important to highlight them, interact with them, and be featuring them on your own Facebook pages too. Second, keep it real. If you're growing an audience organically, it's important to remember that your audience wants to see your brand represented authentically. So kind of like those posts that we were talking about earlier, Angie, and how they were overly selly and not necessarily authentic and kind of in your face, it's important that when you're curating content to keep this in mind so that it doesn't look like that, so that when Facebook is scoring your posts in the content bad and good scoring, that your brand is represented organically. Authentically, thank you. The other thing that I think is the most important thing is not to force yourself. So when you're creating posts out on social media, any social media for that matter, if you don't have ideas for posts, if there's nothing fresh or exciting on the table that day, don't do it. You don't have to force yourself. You don't have to engage yourself in certain things that aren't happening, and don't participate in trends or memes that don't match your brand or don't facilitate the sort of communication to your brand.
Alex, I have to say, if I'm in a bad mood, I don't go on Facebook at all.
Why?
Because it's all these people sharing like their videos and their photos of their happy lives and everything. If you're in a bad mood, you really just don't want to see that. So. Yeah,
I think that's, well, and that contributes to that Facebook algorithm we were talking about. So, so when we're curating that fresh, organic, and exciting content, and we're keeping all of those things that we just talked about in mind, we also want to use best practices for posting on Facebook. This affects the Facebook good or bad score that we talked about as well. So best practices for posting as a Facebook business page. So profile completeness. That's another thing that I think is important to mention here, that Facebook kind of uses this data to contribute to your good or bad score within the Facebook algorithm. So within a complete profile, you need a complete profile. So within a complete profile, that means having a clear profile photo and banner. Best practices for photo and banner. Photo is either something like your logo or a very true, clear, concise representation of who you are. And the banner is a more wide, all-encompassing viewpoint of who you are as a company. So something like a picture from an event or a really cool infographic that's not too busy that represents what you and your company do. You want to have your business information filled out. So that means things like your website, your address, and your mission. Those are all in the page info section of your Facebook page. And again, the more filled out those things are, the better it is for you as a Facebook page in terms of contributing to that algorithm that we talk about. And then you want to have your preferred contact information. Preferred contact information is essential, especially to Facebook, because people want to be able to contact you, and it's important to Facebook that people can contact you. So make sure you have an email in there, even if it's just a general info email. And if you are a business, it is okay to have your business phone number in there. People want to see that. People want to be able to go to your Facebook page and know that they can contact you. The other thing that's great about this complete profile here is that Facebook's really utilizing ways to update that and to make those contact information more easily accessible to the user. So if you'll notice on mobile, when you land on a Facebook page that has the correct contact information for phone numbers and for websites and addresses, you can actually just hit a button and it'll automatically call your business or your location right from Facebook. Best practices continued. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's important to like relevant content regularly. And when I say that, I mean you're liking content as your business page, and you're liking content that relates to your business page regularly. So sister organizations, brother organizations, if you want to interact with public relations people that you work with regularly, that's a great idea. You also want to comment on this relevant content regularly. Again, it's important to be involved in the space and in the area on Facebook that you're talking about your brand. You want to be posting on Facebook at least 3 to 5 times per week based on your audience size. The bigger audience, the more posts that you can do. You want to share a post from another Facebook page weekly. So like we were talking about interacting with relevant content and commenting with relevant content that are other business pages, we want to share a post from these other business pages onto your business page weekly. Another important thing is to pin the important information to the top of the Facebook page. Really quick, at any Facebook post, you'll see a caret drop down at the top right corner of each post. You hit the caret and the drop down and you select pin to top. This will pin the post to the top of the page, and it will stay at the top of the page when anytime any user lands on the page. That's the first post that they'll see for a period of time. I don't recommend pinning the post to the top of the page for more than a week, at least at this point.
And it actually looks like a little pin, doesn't it? Like a little push pin, the icon.
It does, yeah. You'll see a little blue push pin at the top of your post, and that'll indicate what it is. So, yeah, very good point. Thank you. And it's also important that you don't put more than 3 hashtags in a Facebook post. So Facebook is really rolling out the way that they utilize hashtags. Their search features for hashtags aren't quite there yet. They don't necessarily search the best, like if you were on Twitter or Instagram. My recommendations for hashtags are very, very concise keywords. And you can also use hashtags that you associate in a campaign with too here on Facebook, which is fine. And you want to try not to write a novel. So I would say no more than 3 paragraphs in a post. I think it's also important to note that if you're writing a long post and you've been writing a few long posts on top of one another recently, to take a look at shortening the next few posts and kind of make that balance so that when someone lands on your page, they don't see long Facebook posts after long Facebook posts. They see long Facebook posts and short Facebook posts, long Facebook posts and short Facebook posts. And then the other thing is to use videos, such as our webcast promo video, to promote anything that you're doing within your own company.
Anytime you can use video, it's a good thing to do because it's just so much more interesting in a feed to see a little animation, a little movement, and it attracts your eye. And people really like videos on Facebook, and it's best to upload it directly. So you want to upload your file directly to Facebook because that way you'll get all the analytics. And it's really simple to do. It's the first time you try it, it's just so user-friendly, you won't even need anyone to explain how to do it. And the maximum length, this is surprisingly long, is 120 minutes. That seems like, why would you ever, want to upload a video that's 2 hours? But actually, with a lot of our clients, they're associations, and they have keynote speeches, and they have conferences where they have longer content, and it's really easy to upload to Facebook now. And those files can be up to 4 gigabytes, which is pretty good. So, if you're going to have a longer file, a bigger file with, that's a longer length, you're going to want to use a larger file size just to keep the resolution high. So to share video files, the best way to export them is using the MP4 format with the H.264 video compression. This format has been developed over the years so that all the different software that people use and Facebook prefers this one too. It just helps everyone be able to play it no matter if they're using Windows or Mac machines, whatever, any kind of mobile devices. MP4s play the best. And the compression is fairly small, but keeping the resolution high enough so that your videos look good. You can use MOV files, but they tend to be larger, and so I would always recommend MP4s these days. And when you export from a video editing website or any kind of software, it'll give you that option. And you should use Dropbox or any other file sharing sites to email large video files to proof, to get approvals with your clients, that type of thing, because you have to be aware these files are large and you can't send them an email primarily. So the best way to do that is to use Dropbox, which I like because it allows you to preview the video in a screen, so it just plays automatically without having to download it. You can also upload to YouTube, and you can share an unlisted video for approvals. An unlisted video, it actually is posted to YouTube, and anyone could see it if they knew it existed, but since it's not on your actual account yet, it's not showing up anywhere, they won't be able to find it. So unless it's super confidential, you can share unlisted videos for approvals, and then if they approve it without any changes, you can just change the setting to public. And then videos up to 15 minutes long are standard with when you open an account on YouTube, but you can get your account verified for longer videos, and anyone who uses YouTube on a regular basis knows it's a simple process to verify. So I recommend doing that so you can upload really long videos if you want. And no copyrighted music is allowed, and they're really cracking down on this. I don't know if you noticed over the weekend with the MTV the Video Music Awards, they were taking down videos right and left automatically. So they're really watching that copyrighted music. So you don't have to worry about lawsuits or having to pay lots of money. I wouldn't think the state of the legal system these days is that they just tell you to take it down. But you're going to waste a lot of time and effort, and you might as well just use music that you've purchased because it's very inexpensive. There are a lot of websites. You can literally buy songs that are instrumental, that are good for video use for $2, and you can buy better songs by more professional music producers for $25 to a few hundred, depends on what type of music you're looking for. But you can also find it free on any of your video editing software. And even YouTube, you can edit video directly on your account, and there are songs on there to use. I've used a couple recently, so they're actually pretty decent. And you want to put your videos into playlists, and this way you can share content that your viewers might find interesting because they're watching a video, then they're likely to watch more videos related to that subject matter that you've put in a playlist. So creating a video. So for Facebook, you want to use lots of videos. So how do you create one? Well, start by answering the 5 W's of journalism, and that would be what is the first W. What kind of video is this? What are the key messages? What other media is available to use in this video, such as photos, stock footage, graphics? You want to use everything that you can to make it visually interesting. So where will you shoot this video? Are you going to shoot it inside or outside? Consider the background. You want to think about the audio and the noise level wherever you're going to shoot. I notice a lot of videos people shoot in loud environments, and it just doesn't sound good. It's the noise in the room. It's very confusing. You want to know, what are they talking about that for, and all that noise in the background. Where will it be viewed? Do you want to view this video online? Think about the person viewing it, how they're going to view it, and that will really determine the type of video you create. So when will you shoot it, and when is the deadline? That's really important for everyone working on a project to have an idea of this deadline, so they know that this needs to be done soon, or we can take some time developing it. You really need to think about those milestones in your project. And you want to know who will be in the video, who is the audience, who, if anyone, will do the voiceover. You don't have to have voiceover. You can just do interviews and use the audio from your interviews to tell the story. But if you're going to do voiceover, you have to think about the type of person you're looking for, the age group, the type of voice. Do you want a woman's voice, a man's voice, that type of thing? And then why? Why is this video being produced? This seems like a very simple question, but you really need to think about the point of the video. When you're first thinking about it, you have to determine why you're doing it, and all these other questions have to be answered to make sure that you produce something that is useful. So let's get into some tips for shooting video. Everyone can do it now. Everyone has a camera, but a professional is going to think about these things when they're shooting. They're going to interview someone, as we talked about, in a quiet location. You want it to be well lit. Your camera, no matter how expensive it is not as good as your eyeball. So your eye does a lot better job of distinguishing light and dark in a room. A camera doesn't. So you really have to make sure your room is well lit. No matter if they say that your camera does well in low light situations, you need to light it. So use headphones to monitor that sound. You'd be surprised how much you can pick up in a headphone that would save you a lot of time and effort, and if you weren't picking that up and you're shooting. So use the headphones, and I just use my earbuds from my iPod mostly, or my iPhone mostly. I don't worry about using the big headsets that professionals might use, but you can also do that if you want to filter out the sound. So don't forget to white balance. If you have it on automatic settings, that will happen automatically, but most professional photographers shoot using manual settings, so you want to make sure that you're white balanced. It's a lot easier to shoot video than color correcting it, shoot it right the first time. So some other tips here: decide if your subject will be sitting or standing. So that way you can place the camera at the subject's eye level. So if they're sitting, the tripod will be lower. If they're standing, you can keep it tall. And standing is a good thing if you want a lot of energy, if you don't mind them moving around. But if you've got a longer interview, you want to really dig into some subject matter, you probably want them sitting so that they're comfortable. And then you want to tell the subject where to look. If you want to do a news style or documentary style video, you're going to have them look at the interviewer. Or if you want them to look directly into the camera, that's more promotional, more something you would see in an advertisement. But you can do either. It's best to stay with one or the other. I have done videos where I mix the two, but generally speaking, it's best to have them either look off the lens, off the camera, or look into the camera. So some other tips for shooting a video are that you should ask your subjects when you're doing the interview to say their name and title at the very beginning. That just helps with organizing your video, helps everyone in the room know what the subject matter is according to the person you're talking to. So that's helpful. And have them repeat questions in their answers and smile. This seems kind of basic, or maybe it's a little difficult for some people, but if you ask somebody in general, like, what's your favorite color, they're going to say blue. But if you ask them to repeat the question in their answer, they would say, my favorite color is blue. And that helps you with editing so that you have a full sentence, a complete thought, so you can take that edit point wherever they start talking instead of trying to work it in and figure out a way to use just a short, short phrase of somebody speaking. You can actually use a sentence. And then you want them to smile, because when you're looking at TV, you're always looking at people smiling for the most part. And when someone's not smiling in a video, you think they're talking about something very down or depressing. So you want people to smile unless they're talking about something very serious. And then the subject should wear appropriate clothes. So if it's a casual video, you don't have to dress up, but the easiest thing for pinning a lavalier microphone would be to wear a lapel or a V-neck, something where you can, sort of lace the cord of the microphone up through their shirt and then pin it on their button placket or lapel or V-neck, so that you want to get that microphone as close as you can to the person talking. And no small prints. The lens of a camera doesn't do well with small prints. It pixelates in the camera. So basically, you want to tell your subjects to wear bright colors. I always say jewel tones, because I think people look best in solid colors, something like blue or red, if it's a woman especially, and men too. Shirts, blue shirts are great. Stay away from white. Too much white it sort of reflects the lights and makes you look a little washed out. So I would suggest using colors, even pastel colors. That's probably the best way to go on video. Then some tips for writing a video script. You definitely want to keep it concise. Writing for video is not writing in any other form. You definitely want to keep it short, in short sentences. Aim for less than 2 minutes in length. You lose people's attention at about 2 minutes. Short videos seem to just resonate better. People watch it from beginning to end and they like it, remember it more if it's short. And you want to think about the average speaking rate. When you're writing a script, people can say 3 words per second when they're speaking at a normal rate. So if you think about that, a 1-minute video is only 180 words. So what is that? 2 or 3 paragraphs at the most. That's not a lot. So think about that and consider your visuals while you're writing your video script. You really want to write according to what video you can capture, or graphics or photos that you have. You want to be telling people and showing them at the same time, show and tell, because it's a visual medium. You definitely need to always consider that. and you need to use graphics for lists or detailed information. When you're talking about phone numbers or web URLs, websites, you want to show them that information so that it's easier to comprehend what you're talking about. Use bullet points, list if you're using long words, write them up there on the screen, use lower third graphics to show them what you're talking about. And then choose short sound bites, less than 15 seconds. And 15 seconds is an eternity on TV news these days. Most sound bites I see are about 3 to 5 seconds, which is crazy. But you think about that's about 15 words, 5 seconds, 3 words per second. So you just think about that when you're doing interviews with the media. You have to keep those sound bites really short because they're aiming for less than 15 seconds. I think 7 is probably the common. It used to be like back in the day, when like 60 Minutes first started, they used to have 30-second sound bites. So
wow.
They're a lot shorter now.
Yeah, that's social media for you.
Yeah, the attention span's dropping.
Yep.
So create a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end, because really you're telling a story in this format of video. So just like any story, you want a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that is all of my information about writing and producing video.
Very cool. So I think at this point, we are going to open up the webinar to answer audience questions. We actually got a question from the type box. And this person asked, my Facebook page is struggling. Our members don't use Facebook. How do we get more followers? Okay, so what we talked about in this webinar was how we kind of curate organic, fresh, exciting content. So really go back and kind of dive into how you can get creative with your content first and foremost.
I say video, Alex.
But that's, yeah, I was going to say.
I'm the video proponent here.
Which I think is true. I think one of the most important things to do is to be trying new things and be engaging your followers on social media, yes, but also in the back end. So when you're really trying to cultivate followers, again, if you're not going to place money behind paid ads and boost posts and boost things and try to captivate likes that way, it's important to communicate with people that you have access to in the back end. So sending out emails to your employees about really exciting content that's on your Facebook or social media feed, and letting them know that they should go to these places with the links that you provide in this email and like and interact. You should really kind of take an internal poll of what your employees are on, and also where your board members are and where the people that you have back and forth day-to-day relationships are, and send those communications to them. Infiltrate the social media mindset within all of your marketing materials. Make sure that you have buttons on your promotional pieces that say like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, whatever that means. Okay, so we're going to move on to another question. One general question was, will this recording of the webinar be available after it's aired? And yes, we will provide a recording in a follow-up email within the next week or so.
And I'm going to edit out any stumbles there. I'm just, actually, no, I probably will. Yeah, I mean, feel free to edit anything and when you're posting, right? It's so simple to do with editing software today.
Yeah, so we will send that out. Okay, so another question that we got throughout the promotion of the Facebook webcast, and this also has to do with ads. So I think the other thing that we noticed too is that our next DJG webcast is going to be on how to place Facebook ads if you're going to place Facebook ads and those best practices. So
can you talk a little bit about that, Alex? Because you're the one who does that for our agency, and I know that sometimes you get pushback from Facebook. They say, "Oh, we don't like this graphic or something." What are they looking for with Facebook ads?
So Facebook has certain criteria that your visual
replace him or go out
that you have to utilize. But I think we're going to mute everybody again. I'm getting a little distracted, sorry. So to go back to Angie's question, which, do you want to repeat your question?
Oh, I was just asking, I know that sometimes when you're placing a Facebook ad, there are problems with Facebook rejecting the ad because they don't like the graphics. So what are they looking for in the graphics?
Right. So the main thing to keep in mind here when you're placing, when you're crafting your graphic to go on Facebook ads is to make it not too busy. Facebook doesn't want to see, again, going back to that overly promotional aspect that we talked about earlier, They don't want to see too much wordage. They don't want to see anything that's overly promotional. They don't really want links on there. They want it to be a clear, concise visual and a representation of what it is that you're promoting. And you're supposed to use those promo words and that kind of drive behind the actual copy that's in these Facebook posts. So yeah, just a little note too, they actually are updating that back-end software. I don't know if anyone's placed ads very, very recently. I was in there last week. And they're really making changes to kind of fix that, because that was a very wide criteria, and a lot of people are getting upset because some people were trying to promote things that did have a lot of words on it that didn't necessarily constitute to the negative aspect that Facebook was trying to alleviate when putting those rules and restrictions in. So now there's a much more easy appeal process, and kind of an easier back-end platform where you can talk to quote-unquote Facebook people and ask them and exchange kind of communication with them in a way to figure out if those images are correct, and if they aren't, if they can be used because of a special circumstance in the kind of brand or mission that you're putting out there. So.
And they're pretty responsive. You can do it within a day. You get.
Yeah, I would honestly say sometimes I hear back within like an hour or two. So, you know, just stay on it, and yeah, they do. They always get back to you. They will never not get back to you, which is the only one thing I would say I like about Facebook support. So, and then I think a final question that we had that was coming through again before we even started this webcast was just general, what do you think about Facebook Live? Which I know Angie and I have utilized Facebook Live for a few of our clients. We've done it twice now. And I mean, Angie, as a video professional, how do you feel about Facebook
I think it's
Live?
incredibly easy. I was surprised how easy it is. You literally just hit that button and it goes. And we actually recorded, well, we live fed on Facebook an interview that was about 10 minutes long, and we were in a quiet room because the audio is important to make sure that you capture it well. And then it after that 10 minutes, it turns it into a video and posts it automatically, which is really great and seamless. I would say the hardest part of that was holding because we were using an iPad mini, I think. So using that iPad mini, holding it still for 10 minutes was probably the hardest part. The actual using of Facebook's, system was so simple.
Absolutely. It is very easy. And you can go live as a person or as a business. Just some things to think about when you're selecting content that you might want to go live with. It's easy to do back and forth interviews. So if you want to interview your president of your organization, or if you want to talk about a campaign or initiative that you're promoting really quick in 2 to 5 minutes, that's a great thing to go live. Also, if you're live at events where there are keynotes, keynote speakers, keynote speeches, or there's something within some sort of presentation that you really want to highlight that you want to go live for, you can record up to 120 minutes, right? I believe it's 2 hours. So, and that's what it's for. So really the Facebook Live feature in the next year or so, I really foresee a change in how people use it. And really it's you're your own news station as your brand and as your person.
We shot that interview, and that was you interviewing somebody and me using the iPad mini to shoot it. But you also shoot yourself, so it's basically like a little video selfie that you do. We did that. We went to the first robotics competition in St. Louis, which is the competition for high school kids. Yeah. And so you were watching the competition, and so you showed that in the background. So you had an interesting background, and you shot yourself, and you just said where we were and what we were up to. So that was a good use of Facebook Live, I think.
Yeah, I was my own news anchor, which again, is really what it's for, Facebook Live. So, all right. Well, I think we have no more questions. So I think we're going to go ahead and close up the webinar. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. This is our first webinar on, like I said, on DJG's Channel 300. And we'll probably be doing a second one sometime in the fall. And thank you for our sponsor, or thank you to our sponsor, again, PRSA Chicago chapter. And we are signing off.
Bye.